What would happen if Mars collided with Earth? Imagine such a scenario. Mars orbiting in direct collision with Earth. It has been a perilous distance for weeks. The damage has begun. Massive tsunamis and earthquakes raged everywhere. Now our planet is beginning to break. Attractive forces have also changed dramatically. This isn't Earth. For the first time, we face a large-scale collision. Over millions of years, asteroids constantly hitting our globe. One of the most famous. It was destroyed 66 millions of years ago. Dinosaur asteroids, regardless of the consequences on Earth and our history, had a big influence. But that asteroid is only 10 kilometers across. It is around the length of 90 football fields. And Mars has a diameter of 6,800 kilometers. It's approaching us now. Mars is normally around 225 million kilometers from Earth. But for now, it is only 4 million kilometers away. From this distance, Mars resembles a little red moon. Get close to us, although it has not yet hit. However, the repercussions are already being felt. The moon can influence the Earth's tides. So, what if another large celestial body came close to Earth? Attractive force will be really powerful. The crust starts to rise. Sea surge. There is a strong possibility that many tsunamis will form when Mars is only 800,000 kilometers from Earth. That is twice the distance from the Moon to the Earth. Mars weighs 10 times more than the Moon, has been pulled with more force. Everything on Earth creates severe chaos. At this moment, the tide is as high as 30 to 50 meters. The plates deep within the planet started to move. It is going to get worse. 36 hours Mars will reach the same distance as the Moon. The tides will be 10 times higher than normal. Reach 60 to 100 meters. Large coastal areas and cities are flooded. Cities such as Miami and Venice will perish. Millions will drown. People on Earth view Mars. Ruthless approach. Panic ensued. Crust cracking. Earthquakes sweep the world. Volcanic eruption. Lava covers the surrounding countryside. People rushed into their underground shelters. Capture all available energy. And before the calamity, some clever brains are already seeking solutions. A corporation named Nanonuclear Technology. Microreactors are being developed. These little energy gadgets can produces 1 to 20 trillion watts of heat. It can be utilized for heating or transformed to electricity. Microreactors can be quickly deployed and removed. Perfect for emergency use. Nanonuclear energy does not simply create typical microreactors. Their project, also called after gods from Greek and Norse mythology, like Zeus and Odin. Zeus is a solid-state core battery reactor. Odin, low-pressure cooled stage reactor. These two are the finest approaches to save ourselves from the end times. This combo is genuinely these tiny reactors not only useful in extreme situations, can help solve time-limited situations right now. They're little, portable. It fits perfectly. Remote villages lack access to the main electricity grid. At the same time, they help deal with today's one of the greatest catastrophes, climate change. Microreactors provide zero-carbon alternative energy, significantly cut emissions from power production, ensure a reliable power supply, avoid intermittent problems with solar and wind electricity. Nanonuclear also aims to become a vertically integrated corporation. When covering the tip, microreactors are used in nuclear fuel manufacture and operations. Losing in every aspect, but perhaps our primary concern right now, it's not due to climate change. But another planet struck the Earth. So let's move on to the calamity. So, how did Mars hit us? Mars perhaps knocked out of orbit by a rogue planet. These planets don't revolve around stars. There are billions of them out there. They are generally difficult to identify because they do not shine. The reflected light wave field is likewise extremely difficult to record. Therefore, a rogue planet could enter our solar system. It remained undiscovered. Pushed out of the orbit of Mars approximately 4.50 billion years ago in the newly created solar system Earth, and a form as big as Mars colliding material finally formed the Moon. In this moment, people on Earth are desperately seeking sanctuary. However, the strong earthquake shook the Earth. Tsunami rages, millions drowned. People hurried into underground shelters for protection. Mars is only 10,000 kilometers from Earth. Attractive forces drawing together Mars speeds to 10 kilometers per second. Mars begins to break apart as it approaches, because the Earth's mass is 10 times that of Mars. This results in the Earth, an attracting force on Mars, make it begin to dissolve. However, Mars moves too rapidly. The Earth can't totally pull it apart in such a short time. Mars occupies nearly the entire sky, only 200 kilometers from the Earth, entering the upper atmosphere. Huge shock wave strikes the atmosphere, creating breathing issues. The attracting force of Mars pulls on our atmosphere. The fractures on the Earth's surface expanded, forming massive canyons. The earthquake's intensity is extraordinary. The building collapsed. The entire city is in ruins. If you were on Earth at the moment, all you can do is endure. The instant Mars impacts the Earth, the attracting force of the collision site is just 30% of the average. This is because Mars has 40% of Earth's attracting force. The attraction forces between the two pull each other. However, this only occurs on one side of the world, and the ones on the opposite side. Before they die, you will lose 3% of your body weight. At the moment of collision, will produce billions. The heat from a nuclear bomb explosion, following the crash, the two planets temporarily separated. But the battle isn't done. They'll eventually collide again. The impact created enough heat to make the Earth, and the Martian liquefaction shock wave will shake the whole planet. Everyone will feel it in 20 minutes. Everything on the surface will burn, causes a mass extinction in which no living creature survives. The Earth's surface has shattered to its core. Mars disintegrates. Part of Mars' core has moved into Earth's core. Two worlds of demand combine together. The Earth's surface will be covered in lava. The energy of the collision changes. The speed of the Earth's rotation remains unclear. Melted debris is hurled in the air. Smaller bits will be returned to Earth and transformed into lava. Larger chunks enter Earth's orbit, form a ring. Some debris will strike the Moon. Some will travel into space, impact on Venus and the asteroid belt. After millions of years, the impact with the Moon increases the Moon's size and weight. Some of Mars will join with the Earth. The mass of the Earth will increase by 5%. But this new Earth will be lifeless. There's no atmosphere or water. Life is difficult to return to. Perhaps a future comet will impact the Earth and bring water. But as the sun gets hotter, he will exist in the future. It disappears after billions of years. The likelihood of life reappearing on Earth is not positive. This will be the fragile blue planet. The end of life. Well, the above is simply a brain hole. For enjoyment only. Let us think about it today. 10,000 days to inhabit Mars. With SpaceX. Test interstellar. Spaceship Elon Musk to let us become a multi-planetary species. Many people are thinking, how would life on Mars be like? We shall explore in depth. Humanity has 10,000 on Mars. What will the future look like? Prepare to let your mind burst. The first day began with a Martian milestone. 5 starships landed gently. The dusty, crimson surface of Mars, the unmanned spacecraft, not some ordinary spacecraft. They were pioneers. Carrying for humanity the key life knowledge system laid the foundation for colonization. Imagine this sight. Early Mars rovers from countries across the globe observed these starships, a momentous landing on Mars. What's their cargo? Necessities like solar panels, spare fuel, oxygen, water, dry food, and waste management systems, you could say. These are advanced survival kits for the future. SpaceX spaceships, the initial housing compartments were also loaded, and a set of medical supplies, and instruments for scientific experiments. These experiments will increase our understanding of Mars. But that is not all. One of the ships carries something truly futuristic. Mars' beloved communication network. This spacecraft launched the network into space before landing, establishing a critical basis for future communication. Consider it a Wi-Fi network for Mars. Ensure that humans can connect once they come. Connect the Earth and each other. 7 football fields. The dimensions of a solar panel. Also part of the merchandise. Prepare to take advantage of Mars sunlight. Powering Nova's colonies, although the sunlight on Mars may be less powerful than that on Earth. However, these panels are ingenious. capable of maximizing every beam of light. The rover resembles something out of a science fiction movie. The robot dog that emerged released on the surface of Mars these high-technology products. It represents the product of years of experimentation and hard labor. By Boston Dynamics and American space exploration technology companies collaborate to produce. Now they're at the forefront of exploration. Investigation, everything you need to research and plan for the future of human footprints. And the following day, there is no time for rest on the surface of Mars. The team started building the first base in full swing. If you're there, you will observe rovers and robotics. Busy deployment of solar arrays. Prepare for fuel production experiments. These rovers burrow deeply into ice water deposits, while other rovers are busy. Sabatier processes material. That is pretty cool. They extract carbon dioxide from the Martian atmosphere, mixing hydrogen gas extracted from ice. Then it is heated and pressurized to generate water, oxygen, and even methane fuel. These will become human beings. In this stunning but full essential components for survival on a hostile world. These multipurpose rovers still on a mission. Smooth and melt the loose soil on the surface of Mars. Build a large landing platform. This will reduce subsequent landings. Dust and rocks flutter around. The next batch to come is safe. This is understandable. Currently, the whole population of Mars is made up of robots. These technology products are busy. In less than 3 years, arriving astronauts provide the ideal environment. 2 years and 4 months later, in a spacecraft with 30 astronauts, landing on Mars, there are 10 more cargo ships accompanying them. Carrying an abundance of life knowledge systems, the first astronaut settlers were scientists, engineer, medical professional, home and military troops with a scientific background. They must be on Mars. Stayed for the full 2 years and 2 months. This is not a short-term visit. It is about making life sustainable. Multi-planet painting missions. The first week on Mars following a 7-month voyage, the astronauts due to the low attracting force. Muscles get weak. The first week is utilized to adjust to the appealing force of fire and celebrating the journey to survival. New settlers living on the spacecraft they landed on. The crew began to adjust to their new environment. Life on Mars is quite harsh. The average temperature on Mars is minus 63 degrees Celsius. The greatest temperature at the equator in summer is 20 degrees Celsius. There are regular storms on Mars. Rays and shy dust cover the whole world. Earthquakes also happen on Mars. A probe to study the Martian climate in orbit, like a weather satellite. Alert the astronauts. Impending morning news and weather changes. Sometimes they stared out of the spacecraft window. Astronauts would suspect, can humanity actually succeed? Are you wondering about the menu? Rye radish, tomato, beans, carrots, and potatoes are both farmed here. And you know what? All of the astronauts' trash is recycled as food for plants. Truly sustainable living. Here we go. It is reported that Mars will receive unique cargo. This is definitely the beauty of humanity traveling to Mars. A major step for food. In 5 years, the globe will be incredibly busy. SpaceX revolutionized space travel weekly from cutting-edge manufacturing. Production of 2-star spacecraft. Each ship costs approximately 30 million yuan. After a year of this, in total, 104 starships were constructed, ready to go. But there is a catch. The orbits of Earth and Mars are out of sync. They only gain adequate strength every 2 years and 2 months. Suitable for launch. When this window opens, sometimes there are only a dozen days to select from. Launch window ranges from 30 minutes to 2 hours. Imagine this sight. Earth spaceports are filled with expectancy. Cargo and manned starships are ready to go, waiting for the opportunity to travel to Mars. Then he happened. A starship cruises through space. Fly to Mars. On board. After staying on Mars for more than 2 years, 30 crew personnel. After 6 years, the Martian front has seen dramatic changes. Humans currently outnumber robots. We appreciate the entrance of the second wave of settlers. The architect has come. They arrived on Mars, accompanied by scientists, engineers, and horticulturalists. We are shaping the future of Mars together. In the meanwhile, SpaceX, we launched the first refueling station on Mars. He's basically a pit stop for upcoming tasks. Inspire the next wave of exploration. Not only that, they are also developing a cutting-edge village, using Martian soil and plant tools. Nuclear 3D printed shell blocking cosmic rays act as its inner layer, added an additional degree of security. After 7 years, the Martian world takes shape. With the introduction of powerful 3D printing robots, we have noticed a huge upgrade. Large hydroponic farms have sprung up, provided the majority of the settlers' nourishment. And they aren't just farming. Underground exploration is continuing ongoing. Finding a perfect site for your future home, they mine data. Return directly to Boring Company on Earth. 8 years later, space agencies from throughout the globe flock to Mars Base Alpha Coefficient. It resembles a global science fair. All kind of equipment and scientists have come in. Speaking about residents, Jeff Bezos owns the intergalactic domain name Amazon. Mars is just reinventing deep space transportation services. Blue Origin is also prepping, shipping items to agencies, then it gives services to private adventurers. At the same time, on Mars, a new group of Starship crew brought fish to Earth, launched the aquaculture revolution in the Martian greenhouse. All of the water is produced locally. A new era of self-sufficiency on Mars has started. The first funeral on Mars marks a solemn occasion. The settlers' ashes sprinkle on the sands of Mars. To those who have shaped the new pioneers on the cutting edge, in our blue house has always been. Starship fleet is suspended in restricted orbit, filled with fuel, cargo, and passenger. Once the start window is open, they will resemble cosmic ballet dancers, together across the universe. A 7-month adventure, sail to Mars. 11 years later, this is an important time on our path to Mars. This year marks the moment of what we term the Great Migration. Earth and Fire the stars are closer than ever. It's known as perihelion hedging. The real journey duration has been decreased from 7 to 5 months. It is a game changer. Hundreds of inhabitants swarmed to the surface of Mars and transformed it into a thriving center of human activity. Autonomous large-scale 3D printer begins operation. Lay the basis for a variety of bases. What was once a worldwide habitat, bloom and bear fruit now. It's a small town-sized settlement, a network of domes connected to the Martian royal view. But we aren't just building houses. We are still developing the future. The first hospital on Mars is now under development. This is a source of hope and healing. In this odd land, more amenities emerge from the red sand. More people are deciding to permanently settle on Mars. After 15 years, the first group of gamers became permanent residents. Arrive on Mars, the population of the colony exceeded 1,000. There is even one. Small-scale television programs are being made on Mars. The first Martian wedding took place on Earth, and on Mars, as observed by the audience. The exploration mission, found ideal for creating underground protection. Habitat cave system 16 years later. Since the human journey to Mars began, it's been 16 years. Elon Musk's Boring Company tunnels arriving at Mars. This marked the beginning of the Boring Mars Company's vision. Underground tubes begin to wander through the Martian dirt. For the future of subterranean habitat, made a protected tunnel and laid the foundation. Robots are currently all over the Martian imperial terrain. As a mining hub and remote exploratory base, the state began participating in the construction, creating dual-purpose tiny habitats, a sign of national pride on the Martian horizon. Architectural marvels from rising from the rust-colored sand. Combining pragmatism and artistry, the human footprint on Mars continues to evolve. Among these milestones, and a miracle occurred. The first Martians were born. Scientists closely monitor health condition of the mother and child. Everything appears to be going great. We can honestly say we are now a multi-planetary species. In 18 years, Mars population will top 7,000. The red planet has received a new wave of settlers. Include business-paying clients who opt to stay for a term of 2 years. As more individuals living together on Mars, the first political system implemented local policies. Manage everyday existence now. To promote self-sufficiency and ensure reproduction, survival of civilian land is of fundamental importance. Technological advancements mark Mars healthcare and energy infrastructure milestones. Hospitals have started using bioprinters. Began a new era of medical innovation. Allow printing of human organs and tissues. At the same time, dedicated maternity wards opened to facilitate the birth of a growing number of Martian settlers to attain energy independence. Construction of the first nuclear fusion power plant begins. This ambitious endeavor seeks to reduce the number of tasks from dependence on solar panels delivered from Earth. 23 years later, in 2047, it's been called the Year of the Mars Explorer. The first human to ascend Mount Olympus. This mountain is 2.5 times the height of Mount Everest. It is the tallest peak and volcano in our solar system. It was a 9.5-month journey. We tested the limitations of flexible spacesuits. The first Messenger Lotus Pond nucleic acid production facility begins operations. Make people on Mars can return to Earth. Vaccination as workers begin to relocate their families to Mars. Schools are also under construction. Blue Origin's first complete fully autonomous orbital manufacturing station, reaching Mars orbit. This space station works with asteroids in space. Extraction of rare materials. This is done to avoid damaging the Martian atmosphere. The finished product is subsequently transported to the surface of Mars. Elon Musk discusses Mars. The first Tesla Gigafactory has opened. Here it is. They recycle solar panels and batteries. Assemble open and closed electric vehicles. Also maintains the complete fleet and other U.S. space vehicles. Examine the transportation choices for technological enterprises. After 26 years, Earth and Mars orbits are close again. Make it feasible for thousands of people and a massive amount of equipment. Migrate to Mars. Government officials from many countries across the globe, Wilderness Company management team, and survey exploratory geologists converge on Mars. It develops small corporate homes on its surface. With artificial intelligence, progress in robotics and efficient humans, the hard effort of the workforce, Mars has reached complete self-sufficiency. The colonies may now manufacture in-house all the necessities: energy, breathable air, and water. Food and fuel marks the autonomy of Mars, and a huge step forward in sustainability. Day 10,000. We've finally arrived at this day. Since the earliest settlers. Since stepping foot on the surface of Mars, it has been 27 years. Imagine that. If the Earth abruptly stops, supplying Mars can still keep up. However, life might become very basic. We'll return to our ancestors' survival mode like that, but let us not be split between assumptions. Today is a celebration. To honor the 10,000 days of Mars, the first person born on Mars, a historical trek to Earth. Imagine that. They wear fashionable attire and use brain-computer interface controllers. Robot device on Earth. Walk like a champion with more attractive force. Concurrently on Mars, huge greenhouse, situated on a melting ice lake near the equator. Filled with grass, they are not only for show. These greenhouses produce oxygen, slowly but steadily bringing life to the Martian flag, and Mars weed growth has been observed on the surface. Today is a day of success and discovery. Each blade of grass represents the future of Mars. Red from the sky. Another step toward being a second home under the sky. Have you ever considered? One day, we'll be able to place Mars, transform into a place where we can feel comfortable, the place to live, breathe fresh air there. Stroll casually with short sleeves and shorts. Of course, you must have thought. The future of space exploration, it focuses around this dream. Countless tech lovers have already begun packing their bags, ready to go. Although this may appear as the excitement of young individuals. However, changing the Mars environment into a habitable place, it still feels like something from a science fiction novel. But is this just a fantasy? Some people think that as long as a specific way heating the atmosphere of Mars, everything will be easy. Like in the film Total Recall, Mars may become a paradise with azure skies and white clouds. In this video, we'll comprehend more clearly the possibility and challenges of realizing this scientific marvel. People who doubt the eventual habitability of Mars, not without reason. As the fourth planet in our solar system, Mars isn't the ideal location to dwell. He is cold, almost definitely a barren desert. According to several analysts, Mars contains all the water required for intellectual life. Carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen. And that is not all. His appealing force, rotational speed, and axial tilt are almost mirror images of the Earth, like making it a prime option for terraforming planets. However, this bizarre idea originates from when did it first circulate? The history of terraforming Mars, it originated with the English writer, William Olaf's Templeton's imagination. His novel from 1930, The Last and First Man, eventually represented a 200-million-year intergalactic voyage. In the tale, humans cultivate genetically engineered plants, transforming Neptune into a green paradise. These plants turn the poisonous atmosphere into fresh air. Then, in 1942, American novelist Jack Williamson, the term terraforming was coined for a long while this idea was usually limited to science fiction. Guide him to begin earning attention in the scientific community. In 1961, the young astronomer Carl Sagan, the concept of using space algae to cool Venus has been proposed. However, Venus remains as scorching as a summer grill. Sagan's ideas were blue-green algae, sprinkled throughout the upper atmosphere of Venus, the cyanobacteria liquid nitrogen at minus 196 degrees Celsius, and hot springs of 80 degrees Celsius. This incredible versatility let them be in the clouds, the best prospect for survival on a covered planet. Those algae, it also breaks down CO2 into oxygen, known for its gas and carbon capabilities. Therefore, while mitigating the greenhouse effect, promotes photosynthesis in other green plants. Although the camera was really beautiful, but because Sagan was writing, I was unaware of Venus's severe pressure when I published the piece. He estimates just 4 atmospheres of pressure, not likely to actually operate. At such tremendous pressure, even superalgae cannot do it. Sagan's ambitious idea had little practical consequence, but he created a minor tsunami. The concept of terraforming has spread widely, although conservative scientists remain dubious about the phrase. They were skeptical. This is not only about science fiction authors and artists. Visionaries like Sagan are speaking about him. After the mid-1960s, with the arrival of the first interstellar probe, we lose track of our neighbors. Mars has become the most Earth-like planet, ideal candidates for prospective environmental modifications. However, today's Mars still poses a threat to life. Extremely hostile planet. The average temperature is minus 53 degrees Celsius. It's minus 140 degrees centigrade and 20 degrees Celsius. Very low pressure. Only 1,160% of the planet. Liquid water, they only appear on the surface under extremely particular conditions. And its atmosphere is unbreathable for humans. 96% carbon dioxide. In addition, the surface of Mars is constantly exposed to cosmic radiation and ultraviolet bombardment. This radiation nearly caused life can't survive on it. So, why is Mars seen as the greatest place to start? What about subterrestrial planets that are slippery? The primary reason is that according to current understanding, Mars is in the solar system except for Earth, the only celestial body that has ever emitted liquid water. People also believe that the northern hemisphere of Mars used to have a large ocean. The atmosphere is primarily made of carbon dioxide. There is plenty of fresh water in lakes and rivers. These conditions are thought to have impacted the creation of our solar system. Exists for 1 billion years then. For reasons that remain unknown, the dirt progressively absorbs the atmosphere and partially dispersed into space. The atmosphere has gotten very thin. So, the planet's into self-reinforcing cooling stage in this case. There appears to be an imminent solution. According to some persons, bring Mars back to life. Simply bring him back to his childhood. Scientists agree that the initial stage of terraforming will be as follows. Achieve 1 when the conditions are met. Improve air quality. To significantly decrease the amount of radiation reaching the surface. There's liquid water on the surface. The surface temperature has climbed by around 60 degrees Celsius, essentially when the active circumstances are similar to those on Earth. Cold 5-season period, a complete self-sustaining ecosystem. It encourages sunny bacteria. To achieve this goal, the first stage is to increase the quantity of oxygen in the atmosphere. Carbon concentration to take use of the greenhouse effect. This will gradually boost the temperature and set off a chain reaction. So, where can I find the essential carbon dioxide? The ice cap of Mars, perhaps the most accessible solution. It's estimated that the ice cap has enough CO2. You can increase the air pressure from 6 to 100 millipa. And the regolith of high latitudes, this may increase the pressure to 400 to 500 MPa, but how dependable are these figures? This music, the estimate failed to account for a strict, the grim reality. We're not sure how much carbon dioxide is present on Mars. This is the Achilles heel of terraforming. If we lose so much atmosphere, then reconstructing him will be difficult. If he's weathered, absorbed, or caught in hail, then the process might be more credible. In 2004, Mars Express revealed Antarctic ice is primarily made of water ice. Only 10 meters thick is coated by carbon dioxide ice. If true, fully sublimate this layer will only boost pressure by 0.36 MPa. But perhaps the carbon dioxide is concealed elsewhere, as in carbonate. On Earth, carbonates emit carbon dioxide during volcanic action. On Mars, we need to unleash it in severe ways, like an asteroid collision or a nuclear detonation. This will have major environmental impact. However, there are some hopeful indicators. In a Martian year, as carbon dioxide builds in the spring ice, atmospheric pressure can increase by 20%. If we can initiate a similar process, how would it? Begin with the Antarctic ice rise. Melting carbon dioxide will be discharged, increasing atmospheric pressure and greenhouse impact. This heat will melt much more ice, release more gas, enhance the greenhouse effect. According to the calculations, the temperature of Antarctic ice has only risen by 4 degrees Celsius. You can initiate the chain reaction. But even if that were true, how do you actually start this chain reaction? It is vital to notice that the technologies being discussed are not yet ready. However, some believe it could happen by the end of the century. We haven't abandoned the scientific approach for illusions. Instead, it explores a gradual, the near future of developing science, hence the rise of astronomers, such as the British. Bold initiatives, such as Paul Birch, he proposed erecting 1.5, a massive mirror with a circumference of 125 kilometers, when reflecting sunlight on a target on the south pole of Mars, increased the temperature by at least 4 degrees Celsius, enough to liberate CO2 trapped in dry ice. This mirror is positioned over the south pole. It should be made of polyester film and metal. Total weight, 200,000 tons. Built on Earth, it is unimaginable to construct such an item. So we'll need to wait till capable of being in space. Perhaps mining and creating resources on the moon. And the new race to the moon heats up. We may not have to wait very long. However, CO2 is not the only greenhouse gas. It is not the most effective. Green Fortin is responsible for its ozone-depleting effects. It was outlawed in the 1980s. However, their greenhouse effect is stronger. Use chlorfortin. We can accomplish this in about 20 years, triggering the greenhouse effect on Mars. Despite the hefty price, a green hull plant should be created on Mars. The industrial effort will be immense. It may need hundreds of staff. So before the middle of the 22nd century, the likelihood of completing this project is low. Another method for increasing the temperature of the polar ice caps is dusted with a black powdered substance, like mason. This will minimize the quantity of sunlight that the ice cover reflects into space. Warming the ice. A NASA study. This process can be completely completed within centuries. Ice caps are given. But where does the black powder come from? Someone recommended from Phobos and Deimos. Get along. They are among the darkest objects in the solar system. Or introduce black severe thermal bacteria, such as the first algae and bacteria. Unfortunately, Fire the Star is already the second darkest planet in our solar system. Absorbs more than 70% of the sunlight that enters the house. So there isn't much room for more blackening. And excavate from Phobos. Thousands of tons of black regolith will cover the ice cap. It is not consciousness. Not to mention even crazy suggestions, such as causing a nuclear reaction within Forbes, make it into a little star, or detonate within the craters of ancient volcanoes. The nuclear bomb reactivated them, change the orbits of several asteroids, make impact-grade hail. Speaking about weird and harmful thoughts, Elon Musk recently suggested employing hundreds of atomic bombs bombarded the poles of Mars to release all the CO2. Fortunately, NASA promptly rejected. The proposal proved that, in addition to ethical concerns, thousands of explosions are necessary every day to have any substantial influence. So the concept of fire is present. However, these initiatives are currently far distant, beyond our technology. Competent and likely to be it will not occur for many centuries. Transform a line like Mars. The stars still require our control, knowledge of climatology and quotations, and we're nothing near that. Today, mankind are unable to regulate the Earth's climate. We must recognize this. We are impacted by climate change, far beyond his control. There are two additional possibilities on Mars. Destroy all terraforming. The main shortcomings of the attempt. Mars is an asteroid, only 1/10 the mass of the Earth. Its gravity is insufficient to stop a huge number of precious atmosphere evaporates to space. Even if we succeed, creating a dense enough environment, the challenge is how to sustain it. Unlike the Earth, Mars no longer has a worldwide magnetic field, because to the fast cooling of its metal core, it also has to do with its low bulk. The Earth's magnetic field creates a protective atmosphere. The solar wind has eroded this barrier. However, pessimists believe that humans will never be able to revive Mars' magnetic field. But recently, someone offered that Lagrange point on Mars place a double auspicious term. Shield an artificial magnetosphere was generated around Mars. Anyway, Mars can never rely on this effective natural umbrella company for preventing atmospheric erosion. If you cannot discover a solution to this problem, given the inadequacy of attraction forces and the absence of a worldwide magnetic field, the dream of terraforming might never come true. That was an extremely harsh sentence. Just for discussion, let's assume we can somehow trigger the greenhouse effect of Mars, increase atmospheric pressure to at least 1/10 that of Earth, allow water to form ponds on the surface. So what is the next step? If we can reach this stage, and the aim is to terraform with bacteria, as Sagan advocated for Venus, microbes appear to be the best instrument for terraforming Mars. Like on Earth, they can emit ammonia or methane. These gases add to the warming effect, more efficient than CO2. Laboratory simulations have revealed that some methane strains can live in low-pressure conditions, and on Mars, find the nutrients it requires to survive in the soil. They can also tolerate more. The level of radiation that kills individuals 3,000 times more radioactivity. If microbes cover 1% of the planet, with a 0.1% efficiency, 1 billion tons of methane and ammonia are produced annually. Increase the temperature by 10 degrees Celsius every 30 years. In addition, they metabolize methane and ammonomine. It also offers good UV protection. Once this stage is reached, the benefits to future colonists will be evident. The next step is to proceed with extensive terraforming. It will require the injection of oxygen and nitrogen, and eliminate CO2 to reinvent the atmosphere. This is basically a plant passing. Photosynthesis produces oxygen for the animal world, the cheap procedure to boost the oxygen content of the Martian atmosphere. We can walk on the surface of Mars. Cyanobacteria adapt to harsh circumstances. As in Antarctica, cyanobacteria were among the first life forms on Earth. They controlled the Earth's surface for 2 billion years. Significant changes in the composition of the atmosphere by collecting CO2 and releases oxygen via photosynthesis. They can gradually changing the makeup of the Martian atmosphere. Let us imagine that we can measure the partial pressure of oxygen, raised to 1 million air. Then genetically manipulated higher plants can grow freely on Mars, produces more oxygen until the concentration exceeds 120. This will boost the oxygen concentration of the air, enough for the first residents of Mars. It does not have to breathe its outgoing activity. By this manner, within decades, Mars can grow from a chilly planet turns into a warm one, a humid location to dwell. Humans will no longer need you. The flight suit requires only a simple respirator. Inflatable structures can provide habitats. Simple plants can thrive. Increased oxygen levels in the atmosphere, consequently, knowledge grows. The development of sophisticated plants and animals ordinary. First, they have been proved to be capable of doing similar activities. survival amid Martian circumstances. This implies that microorganisms and primitive plants could be the secret to terraforming. Of course, all of this will not happen in one day, even within a year. It may require hundreds of years of constant experimentation. We cannot promise that it will take that long. Perhaps you haven't thought about it yet, but the freezing temperatures on Mars might not be as uncomfortable. It should be apparent that Mars is really cold. The average temperature is approximately -63 degrees Celsius. In contrast, Earth, the more comfortable average temperature is 14 degrees Celsius. Even in the tropics, on Mars night temperature it drops to roughly -90. However, for us Earthlings, the temperature readings on Mars can be very deceiving, since people usually according to the cold and the dense atmosphere of the Earth personal experience in windy weather. To judge comfort, as said before, air pressure on the surface of Mars, less than 1% of Earth's sea level backlog. This is essentially equivalent to Earth increases air pressure at an altitude of 32 kilometers, known as 2.5 times the cruising altitude of commercial flights. Such thin air, even when wind speeds surpass 100 kilometers per hour, during a global dust storm, also unlikely to properly remove heat. In other words, on Mars, wind chill impact air to remove heat from objects that are hotter than the surroundings, nearly non-existent. To illustrate this point, it has been proposed to transform the temperature on Mars into more understandable parameters. The new parameter and the Earth's comparable temperature is on the Earth, shady and windless, offer chilly with Mars, cold but thin air, same heat loss surface and air temperatures. The conversion findings are startling. According to estimations, the worldwide average temperature of Mars is -16 degrees Celsius. No wind rocks. Only larger than Minnesota. A typical winter in Minneapolis wind chill temperature, 1 degree Celsius. So, in a nutshell, on Mars humans feel the temperature, even with relatively lightweight garments. Tight clothing are also acceptable. Of course, you must use a respirator at all times. So we are sure it is very vital to deal with Mars. Do you wish to terraform? The beauty of Mars and the importance of scientific research sufficient arguments for maintaining its original appearance. Of course, there's exploration and colonialism. The new world could be a way for the human species. Family life insurance. However, Carl Sagan cautioned that terraforming should not be the solution for excessive population increase or a lack of resources. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Galactic Discovery's Quest. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to get our latest videos as soon as they're out. See you next video.